Before the video begins, don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell to get notified every time we upload a video. Can you guess what console belongs to each screenshot? Find out the answer somewhere in the video. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the third GTA title on the PlayStation 2 from Rockstar Games, released in October 26 of 2004 to critical acclaim. Side note, it was released on the same day as the handheld game, Grand Theft Auto Advance for the Game Boy Advance. Considered one of the video gaming's most significant titles from the 6th generation, and by many reviewers to be one of the greatest video games ever made. San Andreas received rave reviews by many critics who praised the music, story, and gameplay. It became the best-selling video game of 2004 and it has sold over 27.5 million copies worldwide as of 2011. It remains the best-selling PlayStation 2 title of all time. The Guinness World Records 2009 Gamers Edition listed as the most successful video game on the PlayStation 2, with 17.33 million copies sold for that console alone. It's also the UK's fastest selling single format. On October 29, 2004, on the day of the release of the PlayStation 2, it sold 501,000 copies in its first 24 hours. On June 7, 2005, San Andreas was released for the Microsoft Xbox and Windows. According to GameSpot, both versions have aspects that are better than the outstanding PS2 game, but there's visual weirdness on the Xbox and a handful of technical issues on the PC. Now this prevented either copy from being the clear-cut best of the bunch. In 2008, the Xbox version was released on the 360 as part of the Xbox Originals lineup. These were all emulated ports of the real versions. In late 2014, it was removed from the marketplace in favor of a port of the HD mobile title. On December 2012, the PS3 also got its own emulated port with the PlayStation 2 Classics lineup. It was also removed in late 2014 and put back in November 2015, and then removed again in favor of the mobile HD port in December 2015. A physical release of the 360 and PS3 was available for purchase on June 30th, 2015 in North America and July 17th, 2015 everywhere else. Backing up the timeline a bit, on December 12, 2013, a remastered mobile version was released on select iOS devices. The Android and Amazon Kindle San Andreas was released on December 19, 2013, and the Windows Phone copy on January 27, 2014. All the mobile and HD titles feature upgrades and enhancements from the original game, including newly remastered graphics consisting of dynamic and detailed shadows, greater draw distance, an enriched color palette, plus enhanced character and car models. Some people love these new enhancements while others prefer the classic versions. Also, my favorite new feature is the mid autosaves. This is a huge time saver when failing a mission. On June 8, 2018, the game was added to the XboxOne backwards compatibility library. What's interesting though is the PS3 version is the mobile HD one, and the PlayStation 4 is just the PS2 Classics copy. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas has two different versions available on Windows PC. That is, the original one available on Steam and physical media, and the mobile HD port available in the Windows Store. On November 2014, the Steam San Andreas got a big update called the 3.0 patch. This update caused controversy after 17 songs from the soundtrack were removed due to expired licenses. Other drawbacks included the removal of widescreen support, which was later fixed with another minor update. And certain regions had incompatibility with older saves. There's a sweet widescreen mod available for this game that fixes the UI and makes the game full 1080p widescreen, but the 3.0 patch made this mod incompatible. Of course, leave it to the fans to fix this with the 1.0 downgrade patch program that will take you to the very first release of the game. It also has options to install G input for Xbox controller support, widescreen support, PS2 Sky graphics, and a San Andreas multiplayer mod. Let's take a quick quick look at the 3.0 Steam copy versus the 1.0 patched sorta modded one. Right off the bat, you can see the difference in the sky. The mod puts the original PlayStation 2 sky back in, which I personally like. Another difference is the standard 3.0 offers a 1920 by 1080 resolution in the options, but this is what you get. It's a 4:3 stretched out. With this awesome patch I mentioned earlier, you get a proper 1080p, which looks amazing. Look, the Steam 3.0 is buggy, missing music, has stretched resolution, and well, I just plain out don't like this version of the game, and I probably put it at the very bottom of my list. The 1.0 patched modded copy is probably the absolute best San Andreas available, but of course you need to install third-party software to get to this point. With all of this being said, I'll only be showing the modded one for any further comparisons. Nothing graphically has changed, just the resolution and sky, so technically my comparisons will still be fair. There are no HD mods installed. Just know the standard Steam one as is just not worth your time, but do buy it and install these cool patches I mentioned earlier for a great gaming experience. This downgrader also puts the functionality back into the hot coffee mod. Now let's talk about that. In mid-June 2005, a software patch for the game dubbed Hot Coffee Mod was released by Patrick Wildenborg. The name Hot Coffee refers to the way the released game eludes the on-scene sex scenes. In the unmodified game, the player takes his girlfriend to her front door and she asks him if he would like to come in for
some coffee?
Alright, let's have us some coffee.
He agrees and the camera stays outside, swaying back and forth a bit, while moaning sounds are heard. After installing the patch, users can enter the character's girlfriend's houses and engage in a crudely rendered, fully clothed sexual intercourse minigame. The fallout from this controversy resulted in a public response from high-ranking politicians in the United States. It also resulted in the game's recall and re-release, which made the game's ESRB rating go from mature to adult. In August 2005, Rockstar North released an official cold coffee patch for the PC version of the game and re-released San Andreas with the hot coffee scenes removed, allowing the game to return to its M rating. A new addition to this game versus the previous other two titles, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, is that they added features such as clothes, jewelry, tattoos, haircuts, and so much more that has an impact on NPC characters in the game.
Man, you jacked up.
Such as CJ's level of respect among his fellow recruits and street friends varies according to his appearance and actions.
How about a little coffee?
I like ice cream.
As do his relationships with his girlfriend. They also added this feature which I personally enjoyed, which was that you had to make sure CJ ate food and exercised regularly. The balance of food and physical activity has an effect on his appearance and physical attributes. CJ may learn 3 different styles of hand-to-hand combat, that is boxing, kickboxing, and kung fu, at the gyms in each of the game's 3 different cities. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas has around 250 different vehicles you can drive and crash. That is a huge increase from the 60 you got in Grand Theft Auto 3. New additions include bicycles, a combine harvester, a street sweeper, a jetpack, and trailers, and so much more. Car physics and features are similar to that of the Midnight Club series of street racing games, allowing for much more mid-air vehicle control as well as nitrous upgrades and aesthetic modifications, which is something I loved. Modding your cars is always great fun. The controls between the versions are all pretty different. They all feel fine and natural, and it's not really a big deal. For example, the PS2 and Xbox have different layouts because it's not like you're going to play this game back to back on the different consoles. A couple of things to note here is to change weapons on the PlayStation 2 is L2 and R2, and on the Xbox it's white or black button, which are located in 2 different locations depending on your controller. You have the Type S, and then you have the Duke. Of course, trying to play this game with the Duke would be the most difficult, but I can't help but love this ugly thing. Moving on to the Xbox 360/1 mobile port, they changed the controls to right trigger to free aim and B to shoot. Talking more on the HD versions of the game, they all lack button sensitivity. For example, you can't really rotate the camera slow or accelerate your car slowly. It's pretty much pedal to the metal. On the PS3 HD, R2 is to accelerate instead of X like it was on the PS2. I did swap to the original control scheme though in the options menu, however it's not exactly the same layout. Playing on the original Xbox plays great minus combat. Switching targets during combat is a pain in the ass. You attack or fire with B and lock on with R, which is fine and dandy, but to switch targets is black and white buttons, which kinda sucks because you have to move your thumb off the attack button to switch the targets. On the PlayStation 2, you can keep firing or attacking, and switching targets is L2 and R2. Super easy. When playing on the PlayStation 4, start and select are assigned to the touchpad. Not a big deal, just an observation. In this shot on the PS2, CJ is more to the left after he was thrown from the cop car, whereas on the Xbox, he's all the way to the right. Also, take note of this added tree here and here. Some new shrubbery. Let's bring in the Steam game now. Again, I didn't add any HD mods to it, just the sky and resolution. The draw distance is much better here, and obviously the texture quality, but that's a given since it's on PC. The draw distance again is very nice in the Steam copy. I guess this is a good time to talk about the sky. Only the PS2 original version has this turquoise sky. They replaced it on every single copy with the blue one. Some prefer the blue, some prefer the turquoise. I like the original, which is why I patched my PC copy. Let's show the load times. This will be the only time I do this because who wants to keep watching black screens? On Steam, it's pretty much instant, but that's due to my modern PC. I really only wanted to compare the Xbox and PlayStation 2 since these were the main ones people played this game on. The PS2 takes the longest, and it's mainly due to the lack of hard drive. On this shot, we see the Xbox and Steam get a nice reflection of the window, whereas the PS2 one you can barely see it. Let's bring in the Android because the mobile was the first one to introduce the HD upgrades. The car looks nice with the added reflections. Before we all lose our heads, I am on ultra settings on my phone. The street is lacking on some texture quality here too. What's interesting over here is the different screen sizes. The mobile seems to be showing more of the overall game, probably something introduced in the HD ports. The PS2 shows the least amount, at least in this cutscene. Let's bring in the Xbox 360 and PS3 HD ports now. There's a lot more fog here to help the draw distance out. Some here too, but not as bad. Steam still has the better draw distance, and what's interesting to me here is that the Android is slightly showing a better distance versus these two. Also, the 360 seems to not be as sharp as the Android and PlayStation 3, at least on here. Okay, so let's discuss the 7th and 8th gen ports. As I said before, the PS3 is the HD copy and the PS4 is the PS2 Classics Edition. It's strange the PlayStation 4 doesn't have the HD one, but that's just the way it is. Both the 360 and the One are identical. It doesn't matter if you put the Xbox or the Xbox 360 game into the Xbox One, it will automatically give you the HD port. However, putting the original Xbox game in the 360 will let you play the classic version. I've noticed online people showcasing San Andreas on the Xbox One being superior than the PlayStation 4 when comparing this game. It's somewhat true, I guess, but really unfair. As stated earlier, the PlayStation 4 never got the HD treatment like the Xbox One. Now, looking at both HD ports on 360 and PS3, the PlayStation 3 is more zoomed in than the 360, and it's like this for all the cutscenes in the entire game. Another thing to note is San Andreas runs at 1080p on the Xbox 360 and only 720p on the PS3, which is interesting because, at least to me, the PS3 looks a lot sharper. Going back to the PS2 and Xbox, it just seems that anything Sony for this game will just be zoomed in more. Also, the visuals on the Xbox are sharper. A good example is the yellow arrow door and also the desk. So here you can see that the 5 and the dog are way better looking, same with the guy. And just a second later, we see the picture behind CJ is different. Actually, the picture on the PS2 is the only one like that. All other versions use the one on the right. Moving to Steam versus Windows Store, both look pretty good. This one with the updated HD graphics and this one just because it looks great. The Windows Store one though crashes on me all the time. Thank God for mid-mission autosaves or I'd never complete a mission. It seems this crash happens to a lot of people, but not everyone, so you may not get this to happen to you. The PlayStation 2 is the first one and still a great choice to play. Controls on this are the best one. The Xbox is a great choice. It has better graphics and the new sky effects if you prefer that. Steam is my favorite one. Of course, only with the user-created patches, otherwise it's my least favorite one. Windows Store is a solid GTA when it doesn't crash. Controls handle great and the bright colors are nice looking. The mobile looks identical to the Windows Store minus some aliasing, but actually the touch controls were pretty easy to use but did crash every now and then. The 360 uses the updated visuals unless you put the original Xbox game in, but it plays good, looks good, and is a solid copy. PS3, like the PS2 and PS4, is more zoomed in and runs only in 720p but still has sharper visuals than the 360. Here's a random fun fact, there's a mod available for Grand Theft Auto 4 that will convert your game to the San Andreas city, but as far as I know, none of the missions are there, but you can drive and explore San Andreas in GTA 4's graphics engine, which is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and throw every version up on the screen now. This is one of my favorite scenes in the game. It's just so funny how much food Big Smoke orders.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
My two favorite to compare are the PS2 and the Xbox. If you look here, you're gonna see some extra trees. Also that, a trash bag, a rock, I'm not really sure. On the Xbox, the tire tracks have some little lines going through them, whereas on the PlayStation 2, they are solid streaks. The handling of the driving is the same for both. Watch on this side, the building pops in first, then it pops in over here, so that tells me the Xbox has slightly better draw distance. Overall, when comparing these two versions of San Andreas, you really can't go wrong with either one. Sure, the graphics are a bit blurry, but still so fun to play. Let's bring in the Steam and the 360. The 360 is the only HD one of the bunch, and with that being said, you can see that they added more detail to the fingers of the characters. Very nice touch. They didn't really do much to improve the faces though. Maybe only on select characters got new faces. Let's go ahead and bring in the rest. One thing I noticed are the HD ports are a lot more zoomed out. Now, at least to me, the PlayStation 2 is showing more sharpness in the shirt versus the Xbox. The PS3 and the 360 look the same, but Steam's shirt is actually pretty blurry. Now, going Windows versus mobile, I'd say that on this particular shot, mobile wins. The shirt here is all jacked up. What's interesting to me is the HD ports are all zoomed out a lot. I know you can change the camera view, but I left them all on default settings. Let's do a process of elimination. Worst to best. Now, I am clearly ready for the hate, because I'm sure I'm going to get it. The PlayStation 2 and Xbox are so close, but the Xbox just barely wins. Although I do prefer the classic graphics over the HD ones, I also really hate jaggedness, so the Xbox goes next. Looking at all 4 HD ports, I'm edging out the 360. Oh my god, I know, it's crazy, right? Well, here's why. On this shot, I don't really like the added contrast on the car, and if you look, the car is a little bit blurrier than the other ones. Next up to go is the windows, because it crashes all the damn time, unplayable to me. Now, if I was just going off the car on the PlayStation 3 versus mobile, well, they are tied, but when looking at the telephone wires, the PlayStation 3 wins. So bye-bye mobile. Now for the last two, going off the trees alone, Steam wins by a landslide. The PS3 is still great, they're all great, but Steam just wins. I mean, that's the way it is. You have to have the added patches, of course. Now, I'm not a PC fanboy, I know I'm gonna get all those comments, I'm a gaming fanboy. Look, they're all amazing copies of San Andreas, and you really can't go wrong playing any of these, minus the standard Steam version, and at least for me the Windows Store one. It crashes too much. Well, guys, this is it. It was a long road to make this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. Take care, everyone, and have a happy holiday.